Thank you, Vicky. Hello, distinguished guests and everybody. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity of my presentation. The core of wisdom of the Buddha is known as dependent origination. And dependent origination, as you may know, is a simple and profound principle. It explains that all things in this world are always changing through interaction with each other. We are all interconnected. There's no isolated self, but interconnected self. Our lives are supported by the blessing of nature and all other beings. Can you see this reality? Because of this interconnectedness, we live with a sense of gratitude. Everything comes into being through dependent origination. We may be different in culture and race, but we are all interconnected. Therefore, we are all part of one collective entity. Many manifestations stemming from this oneness. One, but many. To exclude people with different values would be delusional, whereas wisdom to see this reality cultivates a generous mind and heart. We can be inclusive in our worldview. Every phenomenon is also constantly changing in a causal way. Our encounter at this symposium is the result of an interweaving of various causes and conditions. And this encounter is a cause of condition that will directly influence the future of everyone in this room, perhaps even in the world. Everything is changing. That is why we need to do our best in each moment. By not understanding or neglecting the principle of dependent origination, we live with self-centeredness and excessive desires. We may fail to see the preciousness of life in all beings. Individual illusions form a collective illusion, emanating into the present world disharmony, including global militarization. As all are interconnected, each one of us is responsible as a cause of the current global challenges. Our principal Buddhist approach to global peace is to walk the way of the Buddha. Buddhism encourages us to cultivate our hearts and mind and to promote our human values. If we walk the way, wisdom and compassion arises spontaneously, as you see. We will find peace within, and that will naturally spread to our surroundings. Our genuine compassion will find no boundary. Whoever we meet, our hearts will embrace those in need. Through this change in us, the world will change. The Buddhist approach to peace is to walk in this way and to share this way with as many people as possible so that together we will attain peace and become agents of creating a better world. This is the fundamental importance of the Buddhist way. Secondly, as a Buddhist approach, our social engagement with global challenges is very important. The sphere of our lives has now expanded to the global level. As the relationship is global, we need to be careful to always make wiser choices so that our ways of living bring about harmony at the global level. Even though we are peaceful, if our decisions are harmful to others' lives, then these choices are not in accord with the true Buddha way. In order to attain both personal happiness and happiness for all, we need to study and apply the Buddha's teaching humbly in a global context. Then the way of the Buddha truly becomes the way of global peace. At kosei-kai, we have been participating in the donate a meal practice. In this practice, we skip a meal once a week and share the hunger and pain with those who are in difficult situations. With a prayer in compassion, we donate the money equivalent to the meal we skip. Since it began in 1975, we have contributed to various humanitarian activities, total contributions have amounted to $200 million. In January 1991, when the Gulf War broke out, I was in the office of Donate a Meal program in Tokyo. Just after the war ended, I was able to take a truck full of medicine, food, and powdered milk to children in Baghdad from Amman, Jordan. And Japan was with the multinational force confronting Iraq. It was a very challenging experience for me to visit Baghdad. In this city, I met with a young Iraqi woman staff at the UNICEF office. The office had just reopened on that day. After hearing the Donate a Meal practice of many people, she tearfully said, "How grateful I am to know that people on the other side of the globe are praying for our peace." Many Risho Kosei-kai members sincerely offered prayers for peaceful resolution of the war and safety of people in their everyday chanting. Youth and children stood on street corners in the cold winter, even when it was snowing in northern Japan, asking for support for the children in Iraq. In that short meeting with the young woman in Baghdad, I was convinced of the importance of sincere actions rather than just words. When we trust, we are trusted. I experienced dependent origination and a way of building confidence between peoples and nations in the midst of a war-torn area. What is our vision for the future? In a world where countries are protecting themselves by military force and nuclear weapons, the world we are truly envisioning? Are we truly talking with our children about what kind of world we want to build? If the conversation is based on the mere wish that the lives of our children are secure and that our nation continues to be peaceful and wealthy, then how is it possible to make this world without nuclear weapons, where all children have access to basic education? It is important to expand our scope of thinking so that we are sure to strive for living in harmony with all beings. On this UCI campus, there is a student group called Olive Tree Initiative, there may be somebody, who sends students every year to Israel to study the Israel-Palestine issue from the wide spectrum of views and stances. Upon returning, they share their learning. I have found light in them. It is the same light I often see in the people who humbly and selflessly engage themselves in creating peace for all beings. The third point in our Buddhist approach to global peace is to work towards cooperation among different religions. As Swiss-German theologian Hans Küng states, "No peace among nations until peace among the religions." Founder of Risho Kosei-kai, Reverend Nikkyo Niwano, with his conviction that all religions originated from the same universal truth, dedicated the latter half of his life for promoting interfaith cooperation. In 1970, the first World Conference of Religions for Peace was held in Kyoto with more than 300 leaders representing all major religions. They discussed their shared future. All the negativity that religions have created in the history of humanity were for the first time transformed into a radiant positive force to build a peaceful world. At the first UN Special Session on Disarmament in 1978, on behalf of Religions for Peace, Reverend Niwano addressed the world political leaders by saying, all nations should take major risks for peace and disarmament instead of taking risks with arms. The voices to call for international peace have continually been spreading. This movement created a significant impact on political decisions 20 years ago. Now the world is facing another challenge, proliferation of nuclear weapons and the further building of military power all over the world. The US reduction of its military expenditures may not be an option, but it has to be the determination of all religious communities in this country. Not only praying and wishing, but we need to take action in building more significant causes for global peace. Richard Kosei-kai has joined the new call by Religion for Peace, Arms Down campaign. Our focus is to circulate petitions and get 50 million signatures worldwide for arms reduction to support the UN Millennium Development Goals, which includes achievement of the universal primary education for all children in the world. Buddhism is a way to benefit all beings in the world and to promote one's own human values. By engaging ourselves in benefiting others, we are further awakened to a deeper compassion and wisdom. And through promoting human values of all beings, can peace in the world be secure. As Ekayana Buddhists, we acknowledge all faith traditions as ways for peace in the world. We need to continue to walk our spiritual path together until world peace is achieved. Let's walk the respective ways of our faith hand in hand. Let us start from you and I. Let us make one more step forward with respect in our own ways. Let us each be more mindful in this precious moment. Thank you for your attention.